What are you going to start with first?
All right, so we're recording. So, hello everybody. This is firefighter paramedic Torben Dahlstra coming to you live from Station 32, and with me today is firefighter Jeremy Bullard. We're going to be going over a quick presentation here on the HazMat monitoring equipment that we carry on the HazMat unit here at the HazMat station. And once again, by no means am I a HazMat expert, which is why I elected to have Jeremy here to help me through this PowerPoint presentation, because like I said, even though I'm a HazMat tech, I don't have a lot of experience. I don't have 20 years of Air Force experience like Mr. Bullard here does. So, and we're going to be going over this presentation that Andrew Borja put together. And we're going to be kind of clicking through a few things here, so just bear with me as we go through this. So without further ado, what we're going to be covering here, and like I said, you guys can read this, some basic terms, how to calibrate. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that because honestly, the responders here at the HazMat station do most of the calibration, but it's good to have a basic understanding of that. Understanding the basic air monitoring and what we use here on base, and evacuations, and also sick building calls, which have you responded to a lot of sick building calls, Jeremy?
We get a few with the HVAC systems or the run-ups over here at the rail house.
So there is a chance of that. So some basic terms here, just kind of review of all your HazMat tech, your flammable range, your LELs, UELs, flash point, obviously, vapor pressure, vapor density, and like I said, this is just kind of a review for most of you, or if you haven't gotten a chance to take the HazMat tech course, you'll go over these more in depth then. But anyway, and then specific gravity, all those physical compositions of these things that we're testing for. Okay, the bump test and calibration, and those are done once a month, right, Jeremy?
You can bump test as you're going to a scene, or calibrations are done monthly.
Correct. So we try to turn those things on, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're not supposed to turn them on in the truck.
You should not turn them on in the truck, but just understand that these new Altairs take a long time to warm up. So you're going to be sitting on scene for 3, 4, 5 minutes while they
warm up and start
stage.
Right. So anyway, that we'll let the captains make those judgment calls of how they want to do that. The calibration, like I said, should be done. It says there every 30 days. And like I said, we do most of the calibrations here. And what do we calibrate? You know, here are the gases that you use to calibrate the different detectors. And like I said, do you have anything to add with that, Jeremy, as far as calibration?
Ensure you use the book that's kept in the HazMat stall. Different detectors will use different percentages. So go step by step. Borja has set it out nicely for you. Step-by-step procedures.
All right, thank you. Yes, step by step. All right, so what are we looking for? Rachel came over, pulled her coat off. So there's a quick mnemonic there. I love mnemonics. They help me out quite a bit. Radiological, combustible, oxygen, pH, H2S, CO, and organic vapors. So those are the things we're going to be detecting for using all these fancy gadgets we have on HazMat 32. And like I said, if you're not a HazMat geek like Jeremy and I are, and like I said, I'm not much one either, but we're trying to get there. It's always good to review this stuff, so that's why we're kind of going over this stuff. All right, let's start with the radiological detectors. And got a couple of examples of those. So this one is gamma, X-ray, and neutron. And then that one's alpha, beta, correct?
Alpha, beta, yes.
Okay. And, what's the one? We don't have that guy.
We have turned those in and gone to a newer version.
Right. So there you go. I'm learning as we go here too. And Jeremy's going to show us just quickly how to turn these things on. We're not going to spend too much time going over each and every detector. As you can tell, it's just kind of one of those things we need to get over here and play with them.
Army proof.
Yep.
Push the on button.
Also push the on button. Even a paramedic can figure it out. Okay, and these take a little while to warm up as well, Jeremy, right?
Not too bad with these.
So
they're already sensing.
And like I said, hopefully we're not needing these, but it's good. It's a good idea to know where these are. And where are these kept on the truck, Jeremy?
They are on the officer's side, second compartment.
There you go. So come on over to Station 32, hang out. We'll go over them. All right, so this is just some basic information about radiation. Time distance shielding, right, is what we want to do. I don't think we're going to talk more about that. But all right, so let's move on to combustible oxygen, H2S and CO. Obviously, we're pretty familiar with sensing those. We sense for these every time we get a CO call, right? So we should be pretty familiar with the 5-gas. We have multiple versions of the 5-gas now. This is kind of the newest version, and then the yellow version on the screen there is kind of the older version, and then the combustible gas detector is the Bacharach. Thank you, Jeremy. So anyway, you turn those babies on. I'll let Jeremy kind of go through the calibration there and talk you through that. They're pretty straightforward.
The biggest thing with this Altair is, as you can see now, maybe, pump test. Just briefly put your finger over the port in the back. It'll let you know the test is complete, it is passed, and it'll continue on its startup cycle.
There you go. So once you have it fully calibrated and going through its cycle, then it will start detecting for those 5 gases. All right, next slide, moving on. And there's also a bigger version of the 5-gas as well. We have 2 of those on HazMat 32, 3 or 3. And what's cool about those is those can actually send real live time feeds back to the command center and via the computer that we have here at HazMat 32. So it's basically the same thing, just a bigger version of it. Which I need to add to that, Jeremy.
Correct. And also the little Altairs that we just showed you, if you're one of the Samsung users, Apple doesn't have everything. You can connect your cell phone to the 5-gas handhelds and read from the truck.
Jeremy quite hasn't joined the iPhone nation yet, so that's okay. And here's some questions, just some questions that Mr. Borja added in regards to the 5-gas. All right, and here's a little case study that we've got as well. I'll let you guys kind of read through that. So once you have that kind of read through, why was the order given to pull back in that particular situation? It would be unusual to find both CO and H2S in the same place at the same time. There were no reports of odors associated with the response. As it turns out, the leaking drum was emitting corrosive vapors, which could cause a sensor to read. So, cause of CO and H2S reading sensors were becoming saturated and reactive, causing the reading. So, think corrosive atmospheres if CO and H2S sensors are going off. So, something to keep in the back of your mind. pH paper. So this is for testing unknown liquids. We can be seeing how acidic or basic they are based on the pH paper. And Jeremy, where is the pH paper kept?
There's several. There's some up in the office, and there's some in the sampling kit.
I gotta get you the screen here, buddy.
Sorry, in the back of the cab.
Okay.
And there's some in the middle compartment on the officer's side.
What do you got there?
This will go with our.
Oh, okay. Sorry, again, kind of getting ahead of ourselves here. Here's some more information of how to stick the paper in, basically into the liquid. If you have any questions about that, I would say follow up with Mr. Jeremy here or Mr. Borja. So violet organic compounds or VOCs. In regards to the VOC, 5-gas would be used for that as well as one of these multi-ray detectors.
Correct. We have one of those in the third compartment on the officer's side. And those sometimes will sense sensies, those smelly things that people like to put in their house. They'll also pick up sewer and paint. So fresh paint on the walls, it'll pick up that also.
So multiple things will set off the VOC. We're going to kind of skip over the case study. Sorry there, Mr. Borja. So the chemical detectors or JRAD, we don't carry those anymore.
Yep, we turn those in.
We turn those in, so we won't be going over those today. Let's go ahead and go over the chemical detector there we got there. So Jeremy's going to kind of just show you this guy, the RAD M100.
So several things with this one you got to do first. On each end, you'll see little plugs with tethers. Move them around and secure them. This is opening your ports so the machine can take the air in and exhaust it. Little screw on the back for your battery port. Slides in, only goes in one way. And then, like I said, this is your chemical detector. Little push button on the back. You'll hear it kick on. You'll see it warming up. There's two different libraries on this thing. There's cards that are kept in the case, an A and a B library. Your A's will cover your like Torbin, sarin, Soman gases, and then your B group will cover your chlorines, sulfur dioxides, and cyanides. There's a few others on here also. You can scroll through the functions on the very front of it once it's all set up. Pretty self-explanatory after that.
All right, thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate you there. So chemical detector M8 paper. We carry that
Sampling kit.
in the sampling kit. Thank you. And then the Draeger tubes. These are also testing different chemicals that you might come across. And where are those kept, Jeremy?
Compartment number 3, bottom shelf. 2 big Pelican boxes.
All right. Okay, so the chemical ID, like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but we will go over the HURA.
The Smith ID has been changed now. It's a smaller,
This is a smaller
tiny version of the Smith Elite, which has its own computer that.
Right. So we do have that, like I said, on HazMat 32. It's a smaller version. I had to actually find it the other day because the last time I played with those, they were pretty big and bulky. Right. They've changed a lot over the years. So as you can tell, it's just one of those things we got to get out. And I'm guilty of it too. I got to be better about getting out, learning, reviewing this stuff. So. All right, risk-based components, so fire, corrosive, and toxic, all that basic HazMat signage, important information. Make sure to cover background radiation. What detectors or meters do we need to use for a corrosive material? pH, paper, obviously, if it's we think it's an acid or base. Okay. Flammable and toxic hazard, what detectors do we have? We have the multi-ray, the mini-ray 3000. And here's some information on that. Top 10 chemicals most frequently released, top 10 chemicals most frequently released. So the most frequently released chemicals. They're listed right there. Here's some information on the TVL as well as the PEL. And here's just a quick diagram of an evacuation exercise. How do we, establish that time, distance, and shielding and exposure?
Isolation distances. Do we need to pull people out of a facility, put them in downwind side, or can we just leave them in there and secure their HVAC?
And we're going to be doing a lot of research, obviously, once we get on scene and kind of get established of what the chemical is and what we need to be doing. Here's some information on sick building calls. The biggest thing is, identify what potentially the cause might be, HVAC furnishings, different, sprays or chemicals, those type of things. What's causing these people to get sick? Here's just some information on a typical HVAC system. So we're definitely may be calling in or not housing, but maintenance on something like that, So anyway, residential versus commercial. Obviously, we have a lot of commercial HVAC systems here on post, so it's something to keep in the back of our minds. So obviously, evacuate the building, shut down the HVAC system, close all doors and windows, interview occupants, see what their symptoms are, identify source and location, don PPE, do our sampling, and go from there. Any questions? Hopefully, if like I said, we clicked through that pretty quickly, but if you do have any questions, feel free to contact us here at Station 32. Myself, Jeremy, or any of the HazMat gurus over here. If we don't know the answer, we will definitely find out. And like I said, it's one of those things we just kind of need to get over here and play with this stuff. I appreciate your guys' attention. Jeremy, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. We're not obviously going to have a hands-on station today, but feel free to come on over here and play with this stuff anytime. So once again, thank you. Appreciate you. Bye.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hold on. I always stop video. Okay.
I was going to say, that's cool.
Yeah. Oh, wait.